Hey teammates and happy Tenia Tuesday. Welcome back. I have another special guest on my channel, Miss V. Do you want to tell them who you are and what you teach?
Hi, I'm Ms. V. I work at, do I say my school? No. Okay. I work in Baltimore City and I teach first grade right now. It's my second year.
Let me tell you guys, I just observed her class and she did amazing. Her class runs like a well-oiled machine. And let me tell you, it's the week before spring break. So kudos to you for that. And we're going to get started. I'm going to ask her some questions because she has also been amazing at getting students to be engaged and on task. We want to ask you some questions about that. So the first question is, how do you keep students engaged in your classroom?
I think I'm lucky because I have the babies, so I can incorporate a lot of movement in my lessons. I try to make them multifaceted, I guess. Like I have them moving, I have them talking to each other. Like you saw the turn and talk. Like sometimes calling on them might lose a couple of friends. Like, okay, you're not talking to me, but have them moving, having them writing, having them drawing, having manipulative things to touch, just making sure that their body is moving so that their brain is moving with them is the biggest thing. And then, like you saw in small groups, like once you're done here, move to the next place, moving again. And yeah,
That's amazing because, by the way, we're second year teachers as well. We came in together in our organization, TFA, which stands for Teach for America. I forget, they don't know.
Yeah, I was like, CFAT.
Yeah, Teach for America. And we're second year teachers. So the fact to see her students like in movement, I want to ask, how did you set that like expectation? Because I saw during small groups, like you had the timer on the board, which is definitely helpful, and then they had their hands up, and then they put their head down. Like, just walk us through those expectations.
Yeah, of course. Every expectation, every standard I set in the room, it's practice like nonstop. Like even if I introduce something to them in like March, we're gonna keep practicing. Like even if it's something new and I have confidence they'll do well in it, like a new routine, I'm like we're gonna keep practicing, keep practicing. Like our small group routine, before we even incorporated the activities, before there was anything formal or academic like related, I just had them practicing the rotations. I had them practicing when the timer goes off. What do you do? So it's a lot of practice and then a lot of like rewarding. Like, oh, you did this great. You raised your hand when the timer went off. Or, oh, you walked to that table so nicely. Here's a reward. Like that immediate like recognition and incentivizing really helped it. And practicing. Like, and it'll get, redundant after a while, but it's like there's there's also like space for improvement, always space for improvement. So when they mess up, make them do it over again. So they're like, okay, I don't want to mess up again because I don't want to have to rotate between all my small groups again. So, kind of like a drill sergeant, but we practice everything. And I feel like that's where that flow comes from. It's like muscle memory to them at this point. Shout out to my babies.
Yeah, you could tell because even when a friend was off task, like he was telling him, "Hey, you should be doing this," and I was like, "Look at that student leadership at its finest."
Yes.
And at this point, even me, I've gotten lackadaisical expectations, and I'm sure you guys have done even on the carpet. She asked them a question. Also, the president responses.
They were so cute.
Yeah. So for Women's History Month, they talked about Kamala Harris and things like that, just to give you some back knowledge on her lesson. And you set the expectation of what you want a complete sentence standing up. Mr. President, we don't talk when it's people are talking and the friends are talking. It's just like kid friendly language. I feel like is a key as well, and you just exemplified that for sure today.
Thank you.
When students are off task, how did you teach them to get back on task, or what is your thought process behind that?
My process for that was definitely a work in work in progress. I had to learn from all of my mistakes. And really, the biggest thing is addressing it immediately. Like, don't let it sit. Don't ignore it. I mean, unless you're like practicing extinction, like a child is doing an attention seeking behavior and you ignore it so it can stop, that's different. But like with me, I address it immediately. I am super calm about it, and like I leave it into their hands. I give them accountability. I'll ask questions like, "What are you supposed to be doing right now, babe? But what are you doing?" And so how can we fix this? So I put it in their hands. Even the babies are like, "I should be doing this, but I'm not." So for the general population of babies, like that works. And then those friends that are like super super extreme, like I was telling you, like if they're on 10, they don't want to work in the back of the room throwing pencils, doing whatever they have to do. I'm addressing it immediately. I'm also giving a replacement behavior. So I'll say, okay, you're doing this, but why don't you come sit in the calm down corner with me? Or you're doing this, but why don't you come sit with me so you can join us for the lesson? And I've also noticed that giving options work. I don't know if this will work with like the older ones, but giving options work. I'm like, okay, so you're doing this right now, and this is not what we're supposed to be doing. This is not Miss Kim's expectation for you. So you can either come to my table, sit and do your work with me, or you can go to the calm down corner and sit and do your work. And there's no negotiation. It's like that is what it is. Those are your two options. Like the friend with the iPad.
Yeah, well, what if I want to do this?
I'm like, these are your two options, and that's all I can give you. And then
That's all I can give you.
that's all I can give you. And it's like, but if it is something that I foresee them doing, like, okay, they choose to come here, they choose to go to the calm down corner, I'm like, all right, if you finish this task, finish this activity, then I'm going to give you a reward in place of whatever negative thing you were doing. So it's not just leaving it at addressing it. It's not just leaving it at getting them to do that, but let them know that I'm glad you made, you know, like the best choice. Like, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being safe with your body. Like, thank you for that. Like, I think a lot of teachers forget, like, you know, these humans still deserve appreciation.
Yeah.
Even these little humans still deserve appreciation for the things that they're doing. They're still learning how to be a human, have common sense. So it's like acknowledge that so that it becomes, again, muscle memory, so that they learn, like, okay, like this is the right thing, this is the wrong thing, this is gonna make Miss Kemp mad. Like things like that. But yeah, it was definitely work in progress. Still is. Still working, still getting all those strategies, still like observing other teachers stealing their strategies as well. Like
Yes. And even to see it in action, when you were handling that friend with the big emotion, she was like, someone else came up to her. She was like, there's, this is not the best time to be doing that. And they were able to like realize, oh, shoot, I need to go do whatever I was doing because obviously Miss K is handling a whole different situation. So that was good to put them in. It's nice to see like they can handle it too. Once you set the expectation or you put it in their court, like I heard more choices too because I think sometimes they really just don't know. They haven't been taught, and so it is our job, whether we like it or not, to let them know you do have the opportunity to do better for yourself and make a better choice because at the end of the day, your learning is in your hands, no matter what. Especially in the communities and cities that we work in, it's like you're not given a choice or you don't have the opportunity to do better for yourself. And so I'm glad she's instilling them in that in the first grade because when they get to me, they should know how to do that right in third grade.
Also, like brain breaks, they're not an instructional strategy. They're not like super formal, but like sometimes there's a lot of learning, there's a lot of information, and it's like, all right, I want you to come back, take a break, and then come back. So like, and then brain breaks can look like, you know, us doing quick jumping jacks or like a breathing exercise where they're just sitting crisscross applesauce, taking deep breaths to join us back for the lesson. So it's like understanding that it doesn't have to be content. Like, let's get all this information out. But also, like, you know, like I said, the turn talks are also a really good thing, like getting them to get their ideas out before they share. I know that like peer feedback has also been really good with them. Like I'll pair like a high student and a low student and have them work together. And it's fun because it's like, you know, I'm with my friend. They think it's a game. I'm with my friend, I'm working. But it's like I've noticed that my high kids are very quick to give feedback. I'm like, no, this is not how you do it. This is how you do it. So that's engaging them as well, like because whatever we're working on, it might be easy for them. They might have got it in the bag, but like being able to teach it kind of lets me know like, all right,
you definitely
got it. And if you can't teach it, then I'm like, all right, what is that gap for you? So I love when my babies are working together. And like I said, I am a very hands-on teacher. Like if I can incorporate any kind of materials, whether it's like hold up a card if you agree, or like manipulatives, especially for math, or the whiteboards to follow along with me, or during phonics today, I know I was showing like words on the board and they had to move to engage with me. So I had everyone's eyes. But yeah, I really, my classroom and my instruction is very movement based. Like I want to give more answers, but
Yeah,
like I engage them through movement, honestly.
for sure. And you spoke about instruction. When you're planning instruction or trying to think through how do you want this lesson to be, how do you know what's the best movement or small group strategy? Like, how do you think through that?
Like I'm a hands-on person, so like when I go through the lesson, I go through the curriculum, I'm like, all right, I look for places where I might lose them in the lesson. Like if I'm talking too long, if I'm lecturing, I'm like, all right, what can I put here, or what could I do? Like for the curriculum will like give points where it's like, give students two options and let them pick the option. I'm like, no, we're gonna stand up and we're gonna move to that space in the room. Like it's just
Okay.
being like letting the curriculum be flexible or being flexible with the curriculum, I guess. So just looking for those spots where I might lose them and then looking for places where the curriculum might recommend paper, pencil, or anything like that and just substituting.
I love that. And I feel like small groups is a great way to just engage students automatically because oh, I wish I could have showed you guys. Her small group, everybody was working, whether it was on computer, independent work, or with what do you call them? Your aides?
My parents.
Oh, your parents.
Para educator.
She has a peer educator, and it was amazing to see both of them just working and dealing with. I feel like every teacher should have that, to be honest. And I was definitely jealous
I agree.
when you have that. But just when you're planning for that, like, how did you teach your friends what working independently, how to do that in setbacks position as well? You kind of touched on it before.
It was definitely practice. I do new centers every week, so they'll get their new center on Monday. And we'll sit down, we'll introduce it, we'll go through the entire activity together. I'll let them ask any questions that they have, and then they have their centers for the week. And then, of course, there will be questions along the way.
It's for the week.
Yeah, it's for the
She's
week.
dropping jewels, y'all.
It's for the week. Yes, but that also plays into like having a well thought out center. Like it can't just be something quick. It can't just be a quick little decodable. It can't just be a quick little worksheet for them to fill out. There has to be different parts to it, different moving parts as well. But there are those kids that can get through a well thought out center. So then I have my fast finisher activities. I introduce the fast finishers as well. I rotate the fast finishers because I'm like, half the kids don't even get to fast finisher work, so I keep those. But it's like, but yeah, I introduce centers on Monday. Let them know that Miss B and me, their time, those students' time with us is very important. Your job is to work on your center. It's going to help you get smarter. You got to make it sound good, help you get smarter. And you never know. Me and Miss B will do like check-ins. We'll be walking around. If we don't have anyone with us, we'll check in and make sure like, are you doing the right thing? And then that student leadership also comes in. Like I have center leaders at every center. So each group has a center leader, and that is the person responsible for the group. That is the person who they go to for questions. And I'm not going to say like, they're preferred students to be in that place, but those are students that I can trust to lead the group and have them doing the right thing, making sure the center is cleaned up. Like because centers last year was a mess. So I was like, that was one thing I want to work on this year. Yes, it's been. I got the arrows on the ground for them, so they never get lost. Like, I was really, 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 really strict beginning of the year about small groups and what they should look like, what they should sound like. And like I used to put on "Don't Bug Me" ears. I had little Mickey Mouse ears. "Don't Bug Me" ears because that is my time with those friends. So where should you be? Like that was a big thing too.
I love that. You said so much right there.
I know.
At the end of the day, like if they don't know what they're doing, like that, of course they're gonna be lost or coming up to you or I need this, I need that. And you said it, I'm overwhelmed or whatever, overstimulated. I feel like as teachers, like that's normal for sure, especially 2 days until spring break. We're counting them down. But that makes me so happy. And the students were learning, you can tell they know their stuff, and that's all we can ask for. Now, this is a side note. I'm gonna add a question. It's about data. Like, where or how do you think about data, or like, do they know their goals or where they're speaking, or how do you even differentiate the curves so that you know they're engaged.
Yeah. So, you
That's
know,
a lot of
like
questions.
no, it's okay. So, like my math instruction, my whole group, I noticed this year there's like a huge gap in learning for my kids, a huge gap in the data. So for a whole group, I do two whole groups. I have my higher kids who zoom through lessons, who have a lot of background knowledge, who don't necessarily need the manipulatives or don't necessarily need to show their work, but can explain to me how they got their answer. And then I have my lower friends who need a little bit more support. They need those moving pieces. They need a little extra love. Split that into two. And it's like I'm teaching the same lesson, but it's more accelerated with my higher babies. You know, I can teach them the concept. They can ask their they will ask questions. They will ask their questions, and then they push me a lot to do independent work, and so I let them. I'm like, okay, so here's the content. What questions do you have? Let's practice together. Practice on your own. Practice at your seat, and then turn it in, and I can grade it that way. And then of course, there's not a lot of mistakes because I like I said, these babies. I mean, I'm very blessed to have all of my babies, but these kids, they came in with so much knowledge from kindergarten that a lot of concepts are just like easy for them. And then I have like 4 gifted students in my class as well, and they're in that group. Yes, so I'm like that group. I'm like, all right, here's what it is. Show me what you know. So I let them go off. And then my lower babies, I'll spend like the last 40 minutes of my whole group time with them, really diving into the foundational skills, you know, that are related to the content, and then building their skills, building their strategies. Like as you can see on that wall, like all of our strategies are up there, and it's more so for that lower group so they can see it. We still use it. When I'm teaching, I'm like, track Miss Kemp, and I'll walk over there and like, all right, let's use what we have in the room. And they get a lot of, we do practice, so practice with me and them a lot of.
Close the door.
Yes. I'm spending lots of time with these extra students, and like I said, like it's shown to be useful. Like I'm seeing their data grow. I'm seeing them want to ask questions now. You know, sometimes when you're confused, you don't want to ask questions. Now they're asking questions. Now they're referring to their strategies, referring to their anchor charts. And even then, there's still a gap. So I'm still keeping these 2 groups, and I'll move people between groups. Like I had one student from my high group just could not get the greater lesson. So I was like, all right, babe, join us again for the lesson with the lower group. And they're not called high. They're yellow and black. But I'm like, hey,
They don't know that.
Yeah, they don't. I'm like, hey, just join this group for the lesson again, or join us tomorrow for the lesson. So it's like, I feel like, again, it's very flexible, like, and it works for my students, and I feel like they're getting what they're needed. Like my high kids aren't bored, my lower babies aren't confused or lost. Like they get what they need, they get that extra support.
And you set that culture as well, like nobody's making fun of each other or doing whatever. Half the time they don't even know, but they're just like, I'm working, like you said.
You hear my mouth, I wish you would. I wish you would be unkind to a friend, please.
To end it, I want to ask you if you could talk to other teachers about engaging students, what would you say to them? Or give any advice?
You can't engage your students if you don't know your students. You have to build those relationships. Like you could incorporate the best activities, the best strategies, all this and that, but if you don't know your kids don't know you, they're gonna look at you like you're crazy. They're not gonna give you 100%. Like, not to toot my horn, but like, if anyone asks me about any of my kids, I could give you 10 facts right now. Like I could tell you their likes, their dislikes, like, and I feel like it's a reflection of my instruction. I'm like, okay, my kids love Roblox. They love Roblox. So if there's an opportunity to incorporate it in a conversation and a discussion in the content, I am, and that's going to have them up there with me. They're like, oh, we're talking about Roblox. We're talking about Minecraft. Ooh, this is fun. And then also with those smaller groups, then it's like if you know those babies, you can talk. I have 4 kids in particular that love Lamborghinis. Like that's all they talk about.
What in the world? I'm like, everybody getting Lambos?
Talking about something. If you're homeless, you're getting a Lambo. I was like, well, I might need to quit my job or something.
Literally,
like,
every 5 seconds, everybody get $5.
I was like, money in the economy, babes. Thinking big. Oh my gosh. But yes, you need to know your kids. Like it's as simple as that. And that's like, I know a lot of teachers that just come to school to teach, and that's it. They teach and then they leave. Like, it might seem like super annoying. Your kids come up to you, they try to have conversations when they're not supposed to talk to you, but that's them building that relationship with you. And that's one thing that, like, I pride myself in. Like, I let my kids be themselves so that I can get to know who they are. And but I'm also very vulnerable, and I share who I am with them. Like, not just me telling you about my kids could probably tell you 10 facts about me. Like,
Ooh, vice versa.
and they would be confident in it. Like, they like we know our teacher and she knows us, so it's like, so that makes it, it's not just a classroom, not just a teacher. These aren't just my students. Like, it feels like not to be cheesy, it feels like a family. Like,
No,
and
literally.
we're just here to meet some goals, but also like love on each other and get to know each other.
Yeah, and you have that right there. Our class is a family. When I saw that, I was like, it's so evident. And you're teaching philosophy, everything like that. So thank you so much for inviting me in your classroom, letting me stay, be a fly on the wall for that hour. I love having teachers get to know other teachers and build and learn from each other. It makes my heart so happy. So you're amazing. Keep doing what you do for your. And I love that she calls her first graders her babies, because I call them my friends, my third grade friends.
Those are my
And
kids.
yeah, take ownership. Like, we want to teach a kid. If these were our literal kids, we would be the same way, you know?
Right, exactly.
Very protective over them, make sure they learn. That's what we're here for. So comment down below any questions that you have for her. I'll definitely reach out and have her answer them in the comments down below. And if you are a teacher or upcoming teacher, let us know how you plan to engage your students down below. Don't forget to click the subscribe button and give us this video a thumbs up, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace.